Shut down, John.
Okay.
Are we on, Madam City Clerk?
They're gonna wonder why we're smiling.
Good morning to each and every one of you. Glad to see everybody with smiling faces and in good moods. And we will turn it over now to our very capable city clerk.
This is the pre-meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, October 20th. We have approval of minutes from September 13th. Public hearings. Today is the public hearing to declare the structures at 1653 Dublin Street, 1268 St. Meter Street, 3361 Clubhouse Road, 2006 Stockton Drive, 2050 Stockton Drive, 1057 Sutton Avenue, public nuisances and ordering them demolished. Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Who do we have? Nobody? No. Okay. We have no one signed for agenda items or non-agenda items.
All right.
Essential COVID-19 items held over. 50035, ordinance to amend section 50-2 of the city code concerning distribution of improvements. 64036, ordinance to rezone property located at the east terminus of Blue Ridge Boulevard from R1, R2, and B1 to R1.
If I could talk about that one, please.
Ms. Rich?
Thank you. I'm going to offer a motion on this. And if you'll recall from the public hearing, how the residents were concerned about the traffic impact. And it was made known that the traffic study was in the height of the pandemic, March 30th, when it was taken. So I'm going to request, I've worked with our council attorney. I'll read it into for the record what the motion involves, but in a nutshell, it's not to take too much time unless you have questions this moment. It's basically to hold it up for 90 days, ask for a traffic study to not only do the 3 intersections at a better timing as far as pandemic landscape, maybe even use some historical information to go along with it. And then also internal traffic management, because this will come into 2 neighborhoods. Carriage Hills has already been on record of needing traffic management on the other half of their kind of circle, for lack of a better word, but we'll see what their traffic study will now compose of. They'll have to give it to our traffic engineers for their review, since we're not traffic engineers, and see if there's any modifications that should follow this increase in residential development. So I appreciate your support on that motion. And I'll read it exactly as Chris has written it out. Okay?
That sounds good.
No.
All right.
I got
Thank
your
you very
email
much.
and I'm in support.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Vice President?
could we go back to the items held over 50-035? And I would like to ask our
Yes, sir.
attorney to actually explain to us exactly what we are voting on this particular ordinance.
50035.
Mr. Arledge, it's our 50-035.
Yes, sir. The hold on. Okay, mine didn't have that number on. This is in the city code, section 50-2 of the city code. There is a sentence, or the whole code is just one sentence, really. That capital improvements and repairs made in the city shall be made on the basis of need and shall, as nearly as is practicable, be fairly and equitably made in all council districts in the city. And this change is adding the language each year in 2 spots, so that it'd be restated, say, capital improvements made in the city each year shall be made on the basis of need and be fairly and equitably made in all council districts each year. So it just sort of forces the issue as far as the how that is set up.
So my question is, and I understand what Councilman Richardson is trying to get at, but my question is, 10 years ago or more, right before I got on the council, I know the city, was in pretty much hardship, and all the money that the city had, pretty much extra resources they put into District 3 for Airbus to revitalize the streets and the roads for Airbus. And from my understanding, all the extra money that the city had went into the Brooklyn Field, which is inside of District 3. My question is, what I'm trying to really understand is that with this ordinance here, would that prevent that even if the city end up being like it was 12, 13 years ago? Would this harden this that if the city needs to put, like, say, $5 million more in District 4 for a big project to draw business into the city, does this ordinance mean that every district, all the other 6 districts have to get the same amount, $5 million, or not? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, I think you would. It would depend on the size of the pot of money available. But if there was, say there was $7 million available for the whole city, that was all there was, and you wanted to do a $5 million project in one district, then it would be, you really couldn't because it couldn't be divided that way.
So let's say if this ordinance was in play 13 years ago, again, this is before I got on council, we probably couldn't do the same thing for Airbus especially the predicament that the city was in at the time, because that had to be split among all 7 districts, correct?
They all voted.
I was gonna add that, if I may, we voted to take the gasoline tax
Amen.
and only direct it
Not
to those
capital.
Airbus road improvements. So that was a council action.
Okay.
We looked at what that resource would bring in over the 5-year or 3-year build out. I forget what it was, but whatever. And the council voted to isolate that level of capital strictly to go to that economic incentive, because it was part of the economic incentive to make those road improvements from the state docks over to the Airbus, property. So it was like we were all in the know. We openly said that's a resource that actually for years was one of the only capital resources that my office had in the district, because it was evenly split, was the gasoline tax. And so I knowingly, went into this saying, well, that's the deal that we have with Airbus. This is how we get them here. And these road improvements made the difference for them selecting our port system and our site. So we did that as a council, working with the administration, of course.
Mr. President,
But hold on, let me ask this question. But my question is, with this ordinance in place, would we still be able to do the same thing? That's my question.
I don't see, I'm not the lawyer, so ask your lawyer. Yes, I understand. But the council has the authority to isolate funds.
Mr. Small, who was your question to?
It was to our attorney.
Mr. Alders, can we hear from you, please?
It just depends on what money is available. If there's $7 million, for example, and that's it that is available, then it's going to be a problem with this. If there's much more than that available, then you've got some flexibility,
So is that any money or just one type of particular money, like capital money? I mean, I hear gasoline.
Capital.
Airbus was before my time, so I'm still learning about the past. But what's before us, is that any money or any or just capital money?
capital improvements and repairs.
Right, right. It doesn't matter the source of the money. It's a capital improvement or repair. So the answer to your question, CJ, is no. It couldn't be done if this ordinance had been in place.
Okay, that's what I need to know.
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson,
whatever five council members say, it can be done. Whatever these five council members say. Let me say, CJ, that the penny generates $32 million. 21 million comes directly to us. 11 million is set aside, including money for incentives. We've already set that aside for incentives out of the penny. We don't get the whole 32 million to spend. We only get 21. And the 11 million, part of the 11 million is money set aside for incentives, where you don't have to go into the budgeting and do, it's already budgeted. It's already budgeted. And we gave ThyssenKrupp $64 million. This council can do whatever it wants to do. Once it comes on the agenda, once the mayor puts it on the agenda, it's up to the mayor to agree what to do. It's up to the council members to agree what to do.
That's right. That's right.
That's it, Mr. President.
Mr. Daves,
I'm in complete agreement with Mr. Richardson, which is the very point I made last week. That the mayor proposes a budget, a general fund and a capital budget, and the council passes it. The proposed ordinance is completely unnecessary.
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson,
the mayor has to place on this agenda, whatever he placed on this agenda should be in accordance with the law. If the council want to change it, they can change it. What he placed on the agenda was not in accordance with the law because it wasn't done fairly and equitably as the law required him to do. He has to act in accordance with the law. He can't himself decide, well, I'm not going to be fair and equitably. I'm just going to do this, that, and other. The council can come back and change it, but the mayor has to do what the law say do.
Mr. President,
Mr. Daves,
the mayor did exactly what the law permits him to do. Both our council and the city's council have agreed that capital expenditures are not required to be even in any one year. So the allegation that the mayor acted outside the law is completely without merit.
Mr. Harlich, was that your opinion to this council that the mayor was within his purview to have done what he did the way he did it? Is that what you advised this council?
I think the mayor can propose whatever he wants, and y'all are the ones who decide whether it's fair or equitable.
Mr. Chairman, this is Ricardo.
Mr. Woods?
So I just wanted to say, so I think it's what Mr. Dave just said is accurate in that what got proposed may not have been what certain council members wanted, but it was in line and scope with the ordinance, all of the existing ordinances. And when the council voted, it validates that as much. And I pose this question is, if and when the mayor proposes and you all dispose, that is how the process works according to the law is written now. In fact, there wouldn't be any reason to change the law, which is what is being proposed today, had there been a misalignment. So, we've opined that, look, it happens that capital expenditures have to be spent in accordance with all ordinances. And if you remember, a number of years ago, when the council decided to split the $21 million, that was split evenly. Now, even doesn't mean equitable, but what the mayor has done and what the council has done has been in accordance with the law. You all have acted legally. You all have legally adopted a budget. You've done so in accordance with both ordinances. And understand this, Mr. Small asked a very pertinent question. If you are looking at capital expenditures, as Mr. Dave said, doesn't matter where the money comes from. If it is going into the ground as a capital expenditure, this change would limit what you're doing. It wouldn't matter that it was a gas tax, as long as it is a capital expenditure. The ordinance that you are looking at deals with putting money into the ground, whether it's a park, whether it's a building, whether it's an economic incentive to build streets, that is all capital. I have to remind everyone, as Mr. Richardson aptly stated, that the money that goes into the ground on economic development is capital expenditure. So we're mixing apples and oranges, but I just wanted to clarify what you have all stated. You all have acted legally, and so is the mayor's office. And I don't think there's any dispute about that with the legal authorities.
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson?
Ms. Woods, in your legal opinion, if for the next 5 years, the mayor decides to leave District 1 out in allocating capital funds, would he be acting in accordance with the law?
So I would tell you this, first of all, that didn't happen. That's not-
All I need.
Hold on, wait,
all I
wait,
need is a
sir,
yes or
you've
no.
asked me a question,
I
I'll
don't need no
happily
wash
answer.
and no dance.
I'll answer. So the answer is no, because that can't happen. So each district gets $3 million per ordinance. So you're not being left out. And each district gets $3 million. So I'd like anyone who didn't get their $3 million, please raise their hand. Any district that didn't get your $3 million,
This
raise
year?
your hand.
We're not
That's-
talking about CIP.
So-
We're not talking about CIP.
Yeah, we are. Yes, we would be.
No, we're talking about what the mayor get put into the budget over and above CIP.
Not the way it's written. And if I
Exactly.
may, Ricardo, I agree with
Thank
you.
you, thank you.
If at some point our tax 1 cent brought in less than $21 million, it would be the only money that we'd be talking about. Because we would have to, nobody would be able to get something for 3 million. It would have to be equitable, and then we may even have to go back to $1.5 million, depending on the type or the scale of the recession. We're not always guaranteed to have $21 million. And the reason I remind everyone that we picked 21 is we believed it would be the minimum amount of money. We believed it would be the minimum amount of money raised by the extra 1 cent, not the maximum.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Does that conclude your remarks, Mr. Woods?
Unless you all have any more questions for me, yes, sir.
Well, certainly, thank you. Thank you and Mr. Harlich. Any other commentary? Mr. Small or Ms. Gregory or anyone else relative to this particular agenda item? Madam City Clerk?
47702, assent to the vacation of a 5-foot strip of land adjacent to Lot 4B Walker's Addition in Braywood. 47767.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Gregory?
on that one, we're going to have to lay it over again. Chris, have you been able to talk with the attorneys and the administration to find out what their timeline is?
Yes, ma'am. They're having, they have to get a signature from a large corporate entity, which happens to own an adjacent property, and it's a bit of a process apparently. So I think we talked about 30 days. They hope they could get it within that time frame.
All right, we'll do that one for 30 days then. Thank you.
Madam City Clerk?
47767 and 768 are assenting to the vacation of a portion of South Conception Street west of Metro Jail and a portion of St. Emmanuel Street east of Metro Jail.
It's
Well,
1 week.
And
1 week?
Okay, so I heard Ms. Gregory and Mr. Day.
Yeah,
What?
we had the committee meeting, for those of you who didn't attend. After we talked about it for a bit, come to find out, the administration had been meeting with the county and the sheriff and the attorneys and had a different idea of maybe how to accomplish this same thing. You heard a little discussion this morning. Looks like we need to lay this over to give everybody time to get the correct documents in place. So what, a week to do this?
Sounds
Because
good.
basically what we need to do, what we need to do is table this, correct, Chris? And then we'll have a new, resolution next week?
Let's just lay it over. Not let's, but I would suggest y'all, just hold it over a week and let's see what we come up with then.
And then that just kind of keeps it on the time. Okay, well, we'll lay this over a week then and give everybody time to get the rest of it worked out. Okay, I get it.
Madam City Clerk?
08774, approve item-based bid for ammunition with Craig's Firearm Supply, Gulf States Distributors, Precision Delta Corp., and the Sportsman's Headquarters. 08775, approve purchase order to Ward International Trucks for 3 trash shuttle trucks. 6792, approve recommendation to sell West I-65 Service Road North property.
What is that? Why didn't I remember that from last week? What is that?
We got a email about that from Michelle or someone.
I'm trying to, in my
Wait.
head, I'm just, let me,
It's on the west.
Vacant property is vacant property we no longer need.
Correct.
you can always say that. I'll look it up.
Yeah.
I think it was an extension of a roadway that won't be going in that direction anymore.
Yes,
Like all
ma'am.
things have changed.
This is Carlene. It was purchased for the Donald Congress Expressway back many years ago.
It's up, kind of near where the Aldott headquarters is on the West Service Road.
Yep.
And it runs between the West Service Road and it goes back west, pretty good ways, probably a quarter mile. Kind of long and narrow.
Yeah, I do remember now. I see it. Thank y'all.
Essential COVID-19 items being introduced for the first time. 01793, authorized intergovernmental agreement with Mobile County for Nevis Road Extension, 1.5 million.
Okay, I had some questions, which I realize I don't need the answers this minute, but I was curious about making sure that there's adequate right-of-way for sidewalks and bike paths, since we're a complete street under that ordinance for any new developed streets. And so since this is going to go to the county, and the county's actually, unless I'm wrong, because I really haven't been at the table on this, but from what I can read, what we're doing is sending money to the county. The county will actually do the program. In other words, do the construction. And I don't know if county rules transcend over to the city's complete streets. And it would be, it will be problematic if we can't, continue our complete streets, especially on a new one out west, to ensure the sidewalk right of way is there, and also the bike lane, which I think is additional 3 feet on each side of the roadway in order to, and that's lines painted within the street. I don't think that the sidewalks would be constructed with this program because the land is undeveloped. So whoever comes to develop through the planning commission, when they get subdivisions and different programs out there going on, but we have to make sure the right of way is there for them, so we don't have to extract it each time that it comes. Shouldn't be an impact on the development at that point. It should be in the right of way, and they just have to construct it unless they get a waiver, which hopefully they wouldn't get a waiver. But I just need these particulars on the program. So I'm hoping they'll do it to that degree. If I remember, I think Ziegler was held up at one point because it didn't include sidewalks. And then I think you have bike paths coming this time too, because that's part of Complete Streets, the alternative transportation being part of
Yeah,
any new construction.
Yeah, we do, but it's also because it is a state project and the state requires all of that. So that may be something that you need to look at to find out if the state has any involvement at all.
Well,
Like-
the
like Hill-
city council passed the complete ordinance for our streets. So I would assume if it's a street in our city, that our ordinance would suffice. And, you know, that's what I would hope administratively and everything, that would be the agreement. Where I realize the county's doing the work, but it's a city street. So those were my questions.
Any other questions?
Mr. President?
Is that Mr. West?
It is. Good morning.
All right, good morning.
We can get you the width of the right of way there, but I do want to clarify that there is no additional construction contemplated by the county in connection with this project. This is about a $5.5 million project to build an extension of Nebius Road. If you recall, Nebius Road to the east of Hillcrest is a 2-lane road with broad, open ditches, and that's what the county contemplates here as an extension of that same design. And I think what was stated earlier is correct, that this is totally a county project, no state involvement. So the county is building in accordance with the rules as they apply to them. The anticipation is to begin construction in the spring of 2022, which is a ways off, but this has been a fairly intense design. The cost of this road has gone up a pretty good bit because of what was discovered when the soils tests were done. There's a lot of soil replacement that's going to have to take place. As of today, the design is 90% complete. So once that is done and the county has assembled its funding, then they'll proceed.
I have a question, if I may, of Mr. Wesh.
Ms.
The-
Rich?
Thank you. Mr. Wesh, on the design, does the city take over maintenance of it, or is it always going to be a county, like a rural type roadway because of the county's construction and road plans?
As I understand it, this is a county road and a county project, but I'll try to clarify that and confirm that with you.
Okay. All right, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. West. Any other questions of Mr. Paul Charles West? If not, Madam City Clerk?
08794, approved purchase order to Furno Washington Inc. for 1 ambulance stretcher, $26,567.09. 08795, approved purchase order to AutoNation Ford Mobile for 2 2024 250 pickup trucks, $56,381. 08796, approved purchase order to Truck Equipment Sales for 2 Ford F-450 flatbed dump trucks, $111,662. 09797, reallocate $55,405.48 from Capital Project Village of Spring Hill Sidewalks advertising fees to TAP Project, O'Shell Road Sidewalks, Myrtlewood to I-65. 21798, authorized contract with Steve Thornton for sidewalks along O'Shell Road between Myrtlewood and I-65, $219,193. 4799 through 4804, declaring the structures public nuisances and ordering them demolished.
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson?
I'm gonna go back to 21,798. It's, Kim, is Kim out there? Kim Harden?
Fred, this is my project. This is a traffic engineering project.
There's Jennifer.
I understand, but I have, for probably close to 4 years, they've been working on sidewalk for Old Shell Road.
It's bidding
Just-
right now. It's bidding. It's out for advertisement for bid now.
All right, okay.
Jennifer? Ms. White?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have an update on the TAP grant for, from Pinehurst, well, Galloway, all the way to Hillcrest on Airport? Do you know the status of that?
Yeah, we're working through an easement, and then as soon as we get that fixed, we'll be asking for AlDOT for rights to bid kind of thing.
Do you have any timeline on that? Because people are asking, so I'd like to be able to tell them.
No, just that we're actively working with real estate to get that finished. And once that's our last thing that we're holding up on, and
Okay, is that the church area that you mentioned last time to
yes,
me?
that's it.
Still
I
going
think
on?
it's just a matter of, no, they're just trying to get it recorded.
I see. Okay. All right. All righty. Thanks. I hope it's coming along because it's also been a long time, but I know you're aware of that. Thank you.
Madam City Clerk?
6805. Okay. 6805 and 806, 807 are approving recommendation to sell vacant property at 309 acres adjacent to Magnolia Grove Golf Course, to sell vacant property off Dog River Road, to sell 5850 Carroll Plantation Road property, determine an appropriation to the Mobile Convention and Visitors Corporation serves a public purpose and approve payment,
Mr. Chair?
$10,500.
Ms. Gregory?
Yeah, can we go back to the Magnolia Grove? I know this is just
Absolutely.
the first time on the agenda. I had sent an email to Ms. Smith and Parks and Rec on the Millers Park. I just want to be sure that the city reaches out to the group that's been using this park for their softball league practice to, give them a heads up to let them know what the proposal is so that they're not caught unaware. And if they still need a place to practice, we may need to try to help them find a place to go. I know we haven't really used Millers Park for much over the years, and we haven't been doing really a lot in upkeep. And still though, this, I think it's a softball league, has some sort of an agreement with the city to be able to use Millers Park. So just want to make sure that, we do what we need to do to give these folks a heads up before, the for sale signs go up and they just don't know what's happening. So if we could get all that cleared up, I would appreciate it.
We'll let them, this is Jim DeLapp, I'll let Shonda know and make sure that we notify them.
Yeah, they may have some questions. As far as I know, they are the only ones that really use that park. Some of the people in the neighborhood go out there to walk, but as far as the use, it's from what I understand and remember, and the folks in Parks and Rec can certainly help out with this. It's been one softball, I think it's softball league, has used it for practice, and they have an agreement, with the city.
This is Michelle, Councilman Gregory. That sounds good. The actual Millers Park on the Lamplighter Drive is a dedicated park, and that's not what's going to be up for sale. It's that little guy.
No. Yeah, it's not that area. It's where the baseball fields are.
Okay, so it's outside of that area. Okay.
Madam City Clerk?
6809, determine an appropriation to the Boys and Girls Club of South Alabama serves a public purpose and approve payment. 03810, appoint Sandra Wiley to the Mobile Library Board. Announcement.
All right, are there any announcements during this pre-council period? Mr. Daves?
The ones I have to take up today are the public
Oh.
nuisance.
Yeah.
The appropriation to the MCVC for the billboards, the Boys and Girls Club, and the appointment of Sandra Wiley. Right?
That's correct for me.
Looks good to me.
And we will have, I want to remind everybody who wasn't on earlier that we will have a meeting of the Finance Committee today, immediately following our 10:30 meeting. We may take, I guess, Mr. Preston, a little break for lunch. We'll just see where we are in order to discuss the proposed food truck ordinance. And Lisa, did you or Chris send that to everybody?
Yes.
Yeah. So y'all ought to all have ordinance in your inboxes.
I've got it.
All right, any further announcements?
No, I was just gonna ask Joel something real fast.
Go for it.
Okay, thank you. Joel, on the food ordinance, truck rather, food truck ordinance, that's a work in progress. So it's not anything that we've already voted on and we're entertaining amendments. It's, could start from all these different ideas that are coming forward, correct?
Yeah, I was just thinking we were going to listen to any public comment today.
Okay. Oh,
not
I
really-
see.
And not really get into, figuring out what we need to pass. I thought we would just take public comment.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Ms. Gregory?
Just to go back to the Miller's thing, I called it Miller's Park. It's not a park. If it was a park, obviously we couldn't begin to sell it this way, but it's just referred that way because it's over there by the park area and by the golf course. It's really just a piece of land that was, if you got information a long time ago, the city was given, purchased, I can't remember, but it's not officially a park. There are baseball fields there and they are used, but it is not officially dedicated city park in this area that we're looking at selling.
Thank you for that
Just
clarification, Ms. Gregory. Yes, ma'am. Any further announcements or any further commentary? All right, if not, we will come back together at 10:30.
Lisa, you want us just to hang on?
Yes.
Yep.